Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be showing how you can create a custom SAM site using weapons that you wouldn't conventionally use on a SAM site. This is a great exercise in building your own units, which is something everybody's always asking about. It's also a really good exercise in understanding that missiles are a little complicated as far as to get them to behave, and you'll see what I mean when we get there. So our scenario, of course, is relatively straightforward. We have this lovely place called the town of Townsvilleburg here, and we need to build a SAM site to protect it. Now, of course, you're sitting there saying, why are you working so hard? Why don't you just go to facility and come in here and say S400 and pick the one at the bottom and press OK and turn the radar on, and you go, no, that's too easy. We can't do that. Let's make things complicated today. I want a SAM site that shoots the same missile that a MiG-25 shoots because I can. Let's do it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to create myself a facility. I'm going to go ahead and type into SAM site. We have two different flavors of generic SAM site. So we have a regular one, which is, it's not bad. It's just right there. And of course, we have a more fancy one, which is riveted, which basically gives it a little bit more protection. But because we're being shenanigans here, we're going to do conventional SAM site. Now, if you click on the SAM site, you're probably going to observe that it has nothing. It has a little machine gun on it. It doesn't have any fancy comms or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I think its sensors is literally the Mark 1 eyeball, which is pretty garbage if you ask me. So we want to do better than that. So let's have some fun. So as I mentioned a minute ago, we're going to be using the MiG-25's armament. So let's go take a look at what the MiG-25 shoots these days. MiG-25, obviously we want a B version, which is going to be a little bit nicer. Come down here, WRA, let's see, we have the Little Owl radar. Oh, that's garbage. But it is an I-band radar. That works for us. So we're going to scroll down here. What do we have for weaponry here? We have a drop tank. We can't shoot that. We have the AS-11 and we have the AS-11 here. These are ARMs. This is not the right version of the MiG-25. So what we're going to have to do now is we're going to have to go find the right version. There we go. Much better. Let's see here. Foxbot, PD, PD. There we go. The PD. PDS. Ooh, sounds even better. We'll stick to the PD, though, just for us. Old school steak here. Let's see here. Scroll down here. That's what I was expecting. That's much better here. The AA6, AA6. Let's see here. AA6, IR, TD, R40. That looks pretty good to me. Let's use the R40 as our basis here. So we're looking at the AA6 accuracy, also known as the R40 Romeo Delta SARH radar. This is a semi-active radar homing weapon, which means it probably requires a pretty strong beam. So we're going to go down to the secret real quickly here. And if I click on that, I observe that it is not providing us any information at all as far as what band it homes in on. That's a big point for us. Now, remember a moment ago, I mentioned that it uses the I band on the radar. So if I had to guess, I'm guessing this particular platform also uses an I band radar. Let's take a look here. Let's see, Hilark radar, but shoots an I band. Yes, it is an I band radar. We are saved. Cool, let's do it. So now what I'm going to do is run down to my SAM site. I'm going to go ahead and click on weapons. And you can see right now it's got some guy with it. I guess a SCAR, one of the big H ones. And we're going to go ahead and add a mount here. We can either add a weapon record, which adds a weapon to that, or we can add a mount. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself a car. You're probably sitting here going, what is he doing? Not car, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was right. I did it right the first time. Let's see here. Generic. And what I would really like is just a car. And I know you're sitting here going, oh, okay, that seems kind of random, but it actually works pretty well for us because it keeps things relatively simple when I'm trying to visualize what exactly it is that I'm trying to grab here. We can grab a tank too if we need. It's like an engineer tank. Forget it. We're just going to go with the engineer tank. I must coverage arcs. Yeah, we'll assume we can shoot our weapon in every direction. So our little tank here comes with a machine gun, but we know better than that. So I'm going to come down here and press add weapon record. Filter by keyword. And we're looking for our, what did we say? An R40, I think it was? Yeah, an R40. So let's see here. We have the F model, which is a little bit fancier. We have the IR model, which is not what we want to shoot. The IR model actually we could use theoretically. We could shoot both if we wanted to be a jerk, but let's keep it simple for us today. And I'm noticing a couple different types here. One thing you'll notice is we have the 2 out of 2 with a rate of 5 of 5. And then, of course, you have these absurd things, which are we have a 0 of 10,000 with a rate of fire of 1. That's actually pretty good. A lot of times when we have these, they represent big magazines or something like that. So they have a rate of fire of 60, so it's 1 per minute, which isn't great. So this works great for us. We can definitely play with this. So let's grab a Romeo Delta here, and we'll go ahead and grab a 4 of the weapon record added misses a data link. Would you like to add one? This is really important. One of the things you probably noticed, let me press no, and let me come over here. I love how the fact they actually color coordinate all these things now to let you know that you've done goofed. So I'm going to move this weapon record. One of the things you probably observe when we're looking at the database entry on our friend the MiG-25 there, MiG-25 PD, this time we'll get it right. One of the things you observed is the fact that the weapon itself has a data link on it. The data link is kind of a tricky thing there, so if I click on the accuracy here, Now, one of the things you'll notice here is there's an AA6 command data link. The purpose of this is basically to send information over to the weapon so that it can safely track. Now, one of the problems people do is when they go to add something like this, so I'll go ahead and add that on there again. Do you want to add the data link? I'm going to press the S button. It's going to say, what data link did you want to add? Isn't that nice that it doesn't do it for you? But it does actually include it right there. So we can actually filter by keyword, and you can actually see it's right here. Now, if I add that, this is actually adding to this comms to this SAM site unit. If I had forgotten that, our Acrid would not be able to track, even though it is a semi-active radar homing weapon. It's just kind of one of those things. You just gotta, like I said, you gotta be mindful of stuff like that. So go ahead and add a few of these. We'll assume that this truck just has like a bunch of racks of these things on the roof. It's kind of absurd if you ask me. And you know what? So this is science here, so we're gonna go ahead and add another one too. AVLB, we'll go just add another one. He can point his missiles in every direction. And, you know, let's just be a jerk here. Let's go ahead and add some more of those. What do we say? AA6 today? And let's add some of the TD ones, which are hilarious because they are very, very effective. Let's see here. Which one do we want? The TD ones, the TD twos? And we'll add a few of these. And again, use buddy, like there's two tanks parked next to each other. You have to imagine one sitting there with a bunch of the radar guided, the other guy sitting there with one of those. So now we're good to go, right? Wrong. The problem now we have is, remember, it's a semi-active radar homing weapon. We have a little sight here, and under sensors, it has some binoculars, which is nice, but it can't actually guide a weapon. It needs something that uses the I band for the purposes of actually guiding the weapon to the target. Now, of course, many of you very, very sharp people will point out the fact that, what about the infrared ones you just mounted on here? According to this, these are TDs. These have IR seekers. We can just YOLO fire because it's missile data link. You're right, you can. But we want to be able to kind of cover both sides of this aspect, just so you're aware of that. And we'll demonstrate that against a bunch of Russian airplanes in a minute here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add a sensor. So we need to add a radar that can basically illuminate. The keyword is illuminate there. If you don't illuminate, you can't actually hit. Now, if you remember a minute ago, we mentioned that we need an I-band radar. For those of you who missed that detail at the beginning, let me show you what I'm talking about real fast, because that's going to make you insane later. So if I go back to MiG-25, PD, and grab one again, they're all basically the same. You observed here that it says operating bands, fire control, illumination, I. If we do not have an I-band radar that can illuminate, we will not be able to create enough reflection off the target to successfully guide that weapon to our target. That's an important point you have to kind of think about, because people forget about that. They'll do an X-band radar, a Juliet band radar, or something like that, and it won't work. Now, very, very clever folks will immediately go, well, wait a minute. There are other sensors out there that are also on the I-band, and you would be correct, my friend. As a matter of fact, if we wanted to be very, very goofy, we could go to ANAPG, and we could use American radars for the purposes of guiding an I-band weapon, as long as its illumination band is set to the one that we want. Now, you'll see this is actually not a great radar for this, because we're only allowed to illuminate one at a time. Now, I know what you're saying. You're saying, why don't you throw an ACE on the front of it? ACEs are great, except for the fact that they can't illuminate. So if we can't illuminate, that means we can't hit the target. So even if we go to this really, 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 really nice F-15E radar here, again, you can see here that we're on I-band, and but we have no illumination capability. So that's not going to work. If we go back to our MiG-25 for the 50th time here, PD, even though we're not using it, if I go to this one real quickly here and scroll down, we have the Hylark 4. If I click on this, you will observe the fact that, yes, indeed, it is an I-band radar. It's actually a pretty good range radar, too. Now, one of the things I'm curious about while I'm kind of rambling on here is I wonder if this is an I-band radar, because it's a really, really nice radar. So let's see, flash. Oh, look at that. We found a winner. So what we're going to do is we're going to steal the radar off the MiG-31 here. It's called a flash dance. Isn't that kind of fun? All right, let's come down here. We'll add a flash dance radar here. Flash dance. Oh, we have a couple different versions here. We have a lot of fancy versions. We have the blank version, the A version, the M version. We'll add the M version because we're bad people. Boop, just like that. So now what we have done is we went to the aircraft junkyard, ripped off a bunch of pieces, and slammed them into our SAM site. So we need an appropriate target to actually test this with. Now, I don't trust myself at all when I do these videos. So I'm going to press save, and just in case, kind of a thing like that to make sure it works. And we're nice and saved and ready to begin. Unpause. So we have our SAM site here. We actually have a TIPS 43 up in the hill here, and he's kind of keeping an eye out to see if there are any pesky airplanes out there somewhere, of which there are. So we've got our handy-dandy SAM sites. We've got our Acrids here, which is a very absurd weapon to use against things that are flying. We spotted something. We have a couple hostiles there, so we'll go ahead and mark them as bad right away there. I'll go ahead and grab my SAM site, go ahead and click on him, And we can see a couple things. First of all, you'll notice we're out of range horizontal. So unfortunately, we're going to have to wait until whatever these pesky airplanes that we're looking up at the sky get closer. And you can see my Tips 43 actually does a really, really nice job of tracking these things. Let me give you a hint. These things are stealth, just in case you're curious here. All right, getting a little closer, and we just need one more little zing-zap of range there. Looks pretty good to me. So, of course, we have a couple different things here. You'll notice here no weapon directors available to eliminate the target. The problem with this one, of course, is we're dealing with an issue where we don't have enough reflection, which makes sense because you're stealth. But we notice our TDs, the IRs, we're just a little out of range right now, which is perfectly fine for us. So I'll speed up time a little bit here. Kind of cruising. And what I will do is I'll actually activate the radar on board the flash dance. And let's see if the flash dance gets us a little bit better illumination. That's much better. Go ahead and light this guy up again. And you can see here, we're looking pretty good. We're a little outside of DLZ range for our weapon here, but that's okay. Give it just a few more moments. And actually, let's be kind of mean here. I'm going to shift delete. And I'll grab one for each here. We'll fire. You get one, and you get one. We got to get a little closer. So one of the downsides we have here is we are firing a air-to-air weapon from the ground, and that's never recommended. And again, we're a little outside of DLZ range. Again, I could probably order it to fire anyway, even though it's outside of DLZ range. But that was going to be kind of a disadvantage for us there. There it goes. Poop. Shh. This is such a stupid weapon to use off the ground. We're firing an air-to-air weapon off from the ground, and it's not a very good one. So obviously our stealth aircraft are having a very, very little difficulty. Basically, literally running circles around this thing. So I'm going to grab this one again. Hold on the shift key, drag a box around here like that. And he's going to try it again. I don't think we're going to have enough snap-up power here. Yeah, not enough snap-up to actually hit it. So I think in conclusion, it is not the best weapon for that particular purpose, unless... All right. So all we've done here is we've adjusted the altitude of my targets. They're only at 5,000 feet. And yes, they're Sukhoi 57s. These are pretty serious aircraft. So our SAM site is sitting there. Again, what I did is I just reloaded our save. Like I said, if you're experimenting with things, and look at that, we're able to get a shot off right away. So there's the TD. It's launched already, doing its thing. I probably am not going to have enough reflection in either one of those to be able to hit that. Unable to connect to firing unit with mandatory data link. Oh no! So if that ever happens, and this is a really, really good example of when that happens in place. If I were to go to my SAM site, hit comms, do you see I've got my AA6 missile data link here? If you ever have a problem with that, one of the things you can do is you can type in AA6, and what you'll observe is there's actually two different data links. We have the command data link and the missile data link. So when this happens to you, the trick here is you can make sure you add the command data link. Otherwise, you will not have the ability to actually launch the weapon. So if you take a look here, when I open up my screen, do you see how I can shoot everything? So now I can go one, do one of these like that. And then my SAM site is happy to just and pop those things off like crazy now. That's one of those little things that I missed in the beginning that you will definitely run into when you start fiddling with weapons like this. This is not a very satisfying conclusion, however, because I'm basically watching these things. I go cutting across the sky at these. Look, they just turn and ran, and they're just like, I'm getting out of here kind of a thing. That's not satisfying enough, especially with an aircraft like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to Control-Shift F9 here. I'm switch teams, by the way. And I'm going to order them not to dodge. I don't think I'm going to actually hit anything, but I will tell them not to dodge here. All right, here. BVR engagement, quick turnaround, navigation, refuel, automatic evasion, off. This is so wrong. Don't do this. All right, let's go ahead and do one of these. I want a satisfying conclusion. I mean, we're taking some good shots here. All right, so this guy's just sitting there, probably twiddling his little lobs. He's a little outside of the DLZ range here. That's okay. It's okay. Again, that's not the best weapon for this. I think I made that very clear at the beginning. We really should not be taking bits and pieces off of different airplanes and trying to use them against targets on the ground here. But that's okay. Or not targets in the air, I should say. All right, that's a little better. That's a little better. It's a little bit cleaner of a shot there. Let's see if we can do one of these here. I think I have plenty of TD, RDs, RDs and TDs here. So you get one, grab you get one, you get one. I have a feeling we're going to have to fire quite a few of these to actually hit anything. But that's okay. That's what happens when you fire. Oh, look at it go, look at it go, look at it go. Isn't that awesome? You just needed a little bit of encouragement there. And now we fire like an entire rack of these things at them. A little better, a little better. And like I said, kind of amusing to watch stuff like that in action. All right, meanwhile, there's Sukhoi 57s here, which are these obnoxiously obnoxious airplanes. For those of you who've not seen one of these things in the real world, I have a good feeling that it's going to be interesting if I can actually hit them with an R40. No, I didn't think so. We're trying. Again, this is why the MiG-25 as a SAM site is not the most effective unit. All right, what do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Here we go. Here goes. Here comes my next. Literally, volley. This is a volley. This is unfair. Here they come. Here they come. Nothing. Look at my SAM site's just distributing these things like they're free. Have another one. Have another one. And of course, the probability of actually striking the target, even though this look like the world's cleanest shots there, is relatively low. The reality here is these weapons were just not designed to hit stealth targets. And so it's a pretty good demonstration for that too. So we'll leave it at that. I'll go ahead and close there real quick. And I'm going to answer a question everybody's going to ask. And they're going to say, hey, is there any way that I can take this and copy it? So you click on it, you press C, click again, and you'll notice all that hard work I did is gone. So I'm going to delete it. Instead, I'm going to press Shift-C. I'm going to go ahead and click somewhere else like that. And you will notice that it will go ahead and change some things here. I go ahead and click on this one more time. I go to my weapons, and you'll observe that it has unloaded all of my missiles. Now you're saying there, why did it do that? Why did it do that? That is because we have no magazine on here. We'd have to build a magazine to basically set that up. So be very, very mindful. If you are going to clone the unit, you want to make sure you get your magazines all set up and stuff like that before you do the clone. Otherwise, you're going to get shenanigans like that and be kind of disappointed, even though that was like the cleanest shot that we would have had. Like, I mean, like they're pointing right at them. And one thing I do want to see real quickly here, if anybody's curious. Oh, the jammer's doing the job here. So you can see my jammers being incredibly successful. As a matter of fact, I don't even know how many of these missiles I've fired at these Sukhoi 57. There we go. We got one. It tried to jam but failed. He rolled a 74 that time. So anyway, it's a really, really cool trick. SAM sites can literally be filled with anything. If you want to be goofy, you could fill the SAM site with guys with rifles. It doesn't really matter, but it does provide you with a nice little kind of tool to build up your own things, especially out of bits you found in an airplane graveyard. Enjoy.